Now, here's a little cautionary tale. The other night I was looking at YouTube, and I was absolutely gobsmacked to find that somebody was recommending on there cleaning the lens of DVD players and CDs and what have you with, wait for it, a pencil rubber. You know, the sort that's on the end of the pencil itself, so you can't lose it. I mean, the mind simply boggles. These things, they're a precision piece of equipment. And you certainly can't go doing that to them. For one thing, in most cases nowadays, the lens is made of plastic and isn't made of glass, so it's more easily scratched anyway before we even go anywhere else. And if you do have to clean it, great care should be taken. Q-tips or cotton buds used. Isopropyl alcohol seems to be alright. That's what I use when I'm doing them. There's no way. And the other thing that can occur is actual mechanical damage, and this was so with this unit. It's a little Sanyo mini hi-fi thing. Actually sounds quite good for what it is, but can't remember the model number now. It's probably got it written on the back somewhere. I'd be careful not to electrocute myself. DC DA380, which is apparently the same as a DC 370. So, yeah. But this is the mechanism that came out. Everything worked on here, including the tape deck, which is one of those weird spin around heads in it, which spins 180 degrees when it changes direction of the tape travel. So it's got auto reverse, the remote controls with it. It looked to be in immaculate condition, but it's certainly not been trashed too badly, has it? But what they have been doing is trying to clean this lens, and you probably can't see it too well on the camera. See if I can zoom in. But that lens is not actually straight. As we're looking at it, it's leaning slightly to the right. So in other words, it can't focus on the track on the CD at all, no chance. And somebody's given this a good prod with, I think, a pencil eraser. Now, the tiny little copper coloured bits you can see in the corners are what I think are tiny electromagnets. There will presumably be minute springs behind there as well, so that the lens can move about a bit and can focus accordingly, but not if somebody's done that, it won't. That is totally unfixable, I'm afraid to say. Now, the one thing I have noticed about a lot of these cheaper systems is that they do use, like the cassette decks did in the end, a sort of a generic drive system. And looking through my box of spares, I found the very thing. Even the connections were identical. So I put it in. It's quite a cow to get at. There it is, sort of tucked up under there. Made sure everything's nice and free running before putting it all back together. This one is a nicer unit than many because it hasn't got the silly idea where there's a big spring and you just push the lid down and sooner or later the plastic breaks. It's actually got a motorised lid which is driven by this little motor here via a belt and gears, and even the belt's easy to get at. You can just see it's just there. There's your auto reverse tape deck down at the bottom of it, and the main board for the CD up there. But yeah, it never fails to amaze me what people will do sometimes. It honestly doesn't. Before, whatever you tried to do, the disc would move about 1/8 of a turn, stop, move another 1/8 of a turn, stop, think about it for a while, and then you get no disc on the display. Now, I'm happy to report we haven't got that problem anymore.
Days that will excite and make you dream of me at night.
There you go. Shan't play too much of that. I expect it's on here somewhere anyway. But as for this thing, well, I'm afraid the only course of action is in das Elektroscrappen container. So there we have it. All we've got to do now, put it back together again, and it's good to go. Tape deck works quite nicely. To go to function, I think. Whether you can do that for me, you should be able to. Volume tuning, yes, it seems to do the lot from the remote as well. And there's a low input as well, an auxiliary, so you can run something else through it if you've a mind to. There we go. Let's try and see if it works. There you are. Bizarrely, you press the same button to stop the tape as you do the CD. Very confusing. For those of us more used to clunky controls on music centres and the like.
In the same place on Mark's computer, and that photo stayed with me. It was the most horrific thing I've ever seen, a child disassociating and being abused.
There's your auxiliary in, and then we're back to CD. So yeah, all told, quite worth saving because it's got all the bits with it. So yes, if you must clean a CD lens, do so with care. and avoid those silly disc things. Do you remember the ones that they used to sell to clean car cassettes with? Well, they were never any good either, were they, those cleaning tapes? It didn't seem to quite do it properly. And the same is true of these DVD, CD cleaning discs. And you may, in fact, end up scratching the lens if there's anything loose lying about inside it, and it gets stirred up. That too could damage the lens if it's plastic. Oh dear, what can one say without being rude? Anyway, keep safe in these difficult times, especially in London. I wonder when we get another attack. On that cynical note, I shall away.